Old Golden Age Hollywood hygiene horrors, how bad was it really? The horrifying hygiene conditions of old Golden Age Hollywood, how bad were they really? This title refers to the time between the 1930s and 1950s, when Hollywood was at its peak, a period known as the Golden Age. It hints at the issues related to cleanliness and hygiene faced by actors, on film sets, and in makeup and costumes during that era, and how serious those issues actually were. Judy Garland, a tragic star of the Golden Age. Judy Garland, the legendary star of The Wizard of Oz, is one of the most heartbreaking examples of the harsh realities behind Hollywood's Golden Age glamour. At just 13 years old, she was signed by MGM Studios, who took strict control over nearly every aspect of her life. The studio placed her on a severely restricted diet, often giving her only chicken soup, black coffee, and appetite suppressants to keep her slim. To maintain her energy during long filming schedules, MGM provided her with barbiturates and amphetamines, powerful drugs that eventually became a daily part of her life. These substances led to a lifelong struggle with addiction. Judy was expected to maintain a cheerful image in public, even while battling physical and emotional exhaustion. Studio executives prioritized profits and image over her health, and she was given little support or care. Despite her immense talent and iconic status, Judy's life was marked by suffering behind the scenes. She died of a drug overdose at just 47 years old, a tragic result of an industry that exploited her from childhood. Mickey Rooney, a child star caught in the studio machine. Mickey Rooney was one of the most famous child stars of Hollywood's Golden Age, rising to fame in the 1930s and 1940s through a long-running series of films, including many with Judy Garland. Like Garland, Rooney was a victim of the ruthless studio system. From a young age, he was subjected to extreme working hours, constant filming schedules, and intense public scrutiny. To keep him awake and energized for long days on set, studio executives gave him pills, stimulants during the day and sleeping pills at night, establishing a dangerous cycle of dependence. Rooney later spoke openly about the pressures he faced and how the studios controlled not just his work but also his personal life. Despite his fame, he never gained full control over his finances or decisions. The trauma and lack of support from those early years followed him throughout his life. He struggled with addiction, went through 8 marriages, and faced financial hardship in later years. Though he had a long and prolific career, Mickey Rooney's story is a cautionary tale of how child actors were often overworked, manipulated, and abandoned by the very system that made them stars. Debbie Reynolds, pressure behind the curtain. Debbie Reynolds became a Hollywood sensation with her performance in Singin' in the Rain, 1952, one of the most iconic musicals of all time. However, behind the camera, Reynolds faced extreme pressure from the studio system that often pushed young stars to their limits. She was only 19 years old during filming and had little dance experience, yet was expected to perform alongside seasoned professionals like Gene Kelly. The physical and emotional demands of the role were overwhelming. Reports suggest that, like many stars of the era, Reynolds was given vitamin shots by MGM executives, likely stimulants used to keep actors awake and energized during long shooting hours. These injections, often disguised as health aids, were a common studio tactic also used on Judy Garland. Reynolds once described the experience as one of the most difficult times in her life, saying she often cried under the piano between takes. Despite these hardships, she delivered a legendary performance. But her story reflects the darker reality of Golden Age Hollywood, where success often came at the cost of personal well-being, especially for young female performers. Joan Crawford, beauty at a dangerous price. Joan Crawford was one of the most glamorous and commanding stars of Hollywood's Golden Age. Known for her striking appearance and strong screen presence, she went to extraordinary, and often dangerous, lengths to maintain her beauty in a competitive and unforgiving industry. In her autobiography My Way of Life, Crawford revealed the extreme beauty standards of her time and the measures she took to meet them. She admitted to having her back molars removed to make her cheekbones appear higher and more dramatic, a painful and permanent procedure done solely for aesthetics. Additionally, she routinely applied boric acid under her eyes to reduce puffiness, despite its potential to cause irritation or harm. Such beauty practices, while alarming by today's standards, were considered normal and even necessary in an era when female stars were expected to remain flawless at any cost. Crawford's dedication to appearance was both a reflection of her personal discipline and a consequence of studio expectations. Her story highlights how deeply the pressures of fame and image could shape, and endanger, the lives of women in Golden Age Hollywood. Rock Hudson, a star forced to hide. Rock Hudson was one of the most iconic leading men of Hollywood's Golden Age, celebrated for his tall, handsome looks and charm in romantic films. On screen, he was the ideal American man, strong, masculine, and desirable. But behind that public image was a painful reality. Hudson was gay, and the rigid studio system forced him to keep his true identity hidden. At the time, homosexuality was taboo in Hollywood. Studio executives carefully crafted Hudson's image through staged relationships and public appearances to maintain his marketability. He lived in constant fear of exposure, which could have ended his career instantly. This double life took an emotional toll on him. In 1984, Hudson was diagnosed with AIDS, a disease that was still widely misunderstood and heavily stigmatized. He died a year later, in 1985, becoming the first major celebrity to publicly acknowledge having the disease. His death shocked the world and helped bring global attention to the AIDS crisis. Rock Hudson's story remains a powerful reminder of how fame, secrecy, and social stigma intersected in the golden age of Hollywood, and how one man's tragedy helped spark awareness and change. Barbara Stanwyck, The Cost of Perfection. Barbara Stanwyck was one of Hollywood's most versatile and iconic actresses, known for her strong, independent roles that ranged from femme fatale to determined heroines. However, her success came at a high personal cost. Beneath her tough, confident on-screen persona, Stanwyck was subjected to the brutal pressures of Hollywood's perfectionist system. Like many actresses of the Golden Age, her appearance was constantly scrutinized, and she was expected to meet unattainable beauty standards. Stanwyck adhered to rigorous diet regimens and fitness routines to maintain her figure, with little regard for her mental or physical well-being. The studio system demanded long hours of work, leaving little time for personal care or rest. The studio's main focus was on box office appeal, and actors' health often took a back seat. Despite her success, Stanwyck was often overworked and endured considerable emotional and physical strain. The demands of maintaining a perfect image led her to sacrifice much of her personal life and happiness. Her story serves as a reminder of the harsh realities behind the glamour of Golden Age Hollywood. Bette Davis, A Battle Against the System. Bette Davis was one of Hollywood's greatest and most iconic actresses, celebrated for her powerful performances and ability to bring intense characters to life. However, her success came with its own set of struggles, primarily in the form of the controlling studio system. Davis famously fought against Warner Brothers, who limited her roles to specific types, attempting to typecast her in a narrow range of characters. Despite her immense talent, the pressure to maintain a certain physical appearance was always present. Like many actresses of her time, she was subject to intense scrutiny over her looks and was expected to adhere to the industry's impossible beauty standards. Throughout her career, Davis remained vocal about the personal sacrifices she made for her craft. Her public battles with the studio system and the compromises she had to make highlighted the tension between artistic freedom and the industry's relentless demands. Davis's career was defined by both her immense talent and the personal toll the Hollywood system took on her. Let me know if you'd like more. Clark Gable, the King of Hollywood. Clark Gable, often called the King of Hollywood, was the embodiment of rugged masculinity and charm. As one of the most iconic leading men in Hollywood, Gable's image was carefully curated by MGM Studios, who controlled nearly every aspect of his career, from his appearance to his off-screen persona. Known for his strong, manly roles, Gable's image was essential to his stardom, and the studio placed immense pressure on him to maintain that perfect persona. This perfection came at a cost. Gable was expected to maintain a physically appealing image at all times, and the grooming of his famous mustache was a vital part of his public look. He also went through extensive beauty regimens, which included careful attention to his skin, hair, and overall appearance. These behind-the-scenes routines, while hidden from the public, were crucial to sustaining his popularity. The stress of this constant image maintenance took its toll on Gable's personal life, reflecting the harsh reality behind the carefully crafted facades of Hollywood's golden age.